Yeah, man. It is great to have you back.
It's nuts, man.
You're the one. This is putting you in your own league. This is a third time you've been on the podcast, bro.
It is. It
Yep.
is.
So hey, summer just came to a close. What have you been up to since the end of summer 2023?
I just bought a house, so that's big. A lot of stress, a lot on the to-do list, but yeah, just moving in, looking at buying a new car now as well. But just taking care of the boys. That's about it.
What's wrong with the Mini?
It's good. It's good for the summer, but I kind of want a different daily. I like it though. It is a nice car. The guys like it too. Everyone loves the minivan.
Hey, we'll get into the minivan later on, man.
Yeah.
But hey, there's hype around like you kind of going through this story of this summer. Obviously, we all saw it from the outside looking in our industry. And so if somebody just asked you, hey man, what was the 2023 story for you like? What was this past season like for you?
It was gratifying. It was exhausting, but it was spectacular. It really was a lot of fun. Like I said, a lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But yeah, like every summer we end the summer and always talk about you want to have zero regrets. Mm-hmm. Looking back on it, I don't regret much at all. And having that feeling, I think there's no better feeling in the world than having a feeling of no regret, knowing that you gave it your all. And to do it with some of my best friends out there, it couldn't get any better.
It makes sense looking at the consistency that you demonstrated. That makes sense. No regrets. So walk me through your mindset going into the year, and then, hey, tell us a story.
Yeah, so going into the summer, obviously had really big goals, big team goals, big personal goals. And I remember it was, I talked about this at Pro Bowl in the presentation, but I texted Mike Sautel and I'm like, look, I'm willing to die from exhaustion this summer. Like that, that set the tone early. I think that was April 27th. That was that text. So yeah, right there, I kind of came to terms with myself that, every single day you have to leave it out there for the guys, and there's nowhere you can mess up. There's no slacking off. Every single day is 110%.
Why does it matter that there's no slacking off for the guys? What do you mean by that?
Because when you bring a team out and they all look up to you, the minute you slack off, it's a downward spiral. If they see you slack off, and it could be the tiniest thing, they're going to 10x that. We talk about this all the time. Guys take 10% of your good habits, but they 10x your bad habits. So just having that mentality going in, because I had a big team. You have to be careful. You have to be careful what you say, how you act when there's that many eyes on you. And I feel like I've definitely, and you mess up and you make mistakes, but you learn from them. You don't lose, you learn, right?
So with that understanding going into the year, what did your schedule look like? What was your routine, your regimens throughout the year?
Yeah, so every morning, wake up at 6 a.m., cold shower right away. From there, just in the savers. So, meditate for a couple minutes, write down some affirmations. Today's going to be amazing. You're going to change some lives today, whatever it may be. Visualize. I looked at a vision board every single day in the summer of what car I wanted, what house I wanted, stuff like that. And it's funny, we were talking about this on our manager call yesterday, how, if you have a vision board and like you just look at it every single day, eventually those things become true. It's really crazy how visualization works.
Before we move on, what were a couple things you were visualizing?
My boy's going to Cabo for Top 10 Rookie. I really wanted my guys to go to Cabo for Top 10 Rookie. This is something I visualize every single day. I'm like, okay, just make it, every single day is one step closer to that podcast with JMav. So I feel like that's something I do really well ever since like a very young age. I've always had a really good, crazy imagination, like very vivid imagination. And it's good for this job because when you let your mind wander and, you know, inside your head, there's the car, the house, it's just going to continually push you, you know, to work harder. So yeah, visualization, and then going back to the routine.
How do you retain that focus? So a lot of people will have something they desire, right? And then they'll think about it, you know, maybe at a routine point. But how do you keep that consistently throughout your routine through the day?
In between doors, you know, and having a picture on my iPad. So, you know, let's say I knock this door, it's a door slam. I have things written down and a picture of Michael Jordan on my iPad, just yeah, we know how you love him. Just to continue to push harder, and because I feel like it always has to be there. You know, it is hard if you're not looking at a picture just to imagine it, but having that that physical image can put you in that state, a flow state, we call it. So,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So from that point in your routine, moving forward, so you visualize, you have your board daily that you look at.
Yeah.
What else? You
cold
do?
shower, all those things, and then I go to reading. So, you know, reading during the summer. There's one thing I talked about, I think last couple podcasts, how I want to, you know, continue to be a student during the summer. So reading.
What were a couple of things that you were reading through the summer?
Think and Grow Rich, and even a couple other books I already read. Living with the Seal by Jesse Itzler. You know,
That's an entertaining book.
That's the good one for the guys. But yeah, I just wanted to continue to grow during the summer, not just, you know, sales skill wise, but mentally, you know, emotionally, stuff like that, and mindset wise. After reading, go to the gym. I went with Ben Bania every single day. We wouldn't do anything crazy in the gym. It was just more of like discipline going to the gym, just to go and do it every day. So I say we'd go there for 20 minutes max, stretch, push-ups, pull-ups, then walk back.
Did you guys do that from day one, you and Ben?
Yeah, every single day.
Hey, shout out to that beast.
Yeah.
No, top number 3, right?
Number 3 rookie.
Number 3
Yeah, it's
rookie,
for a reason. The guy's insane. Learned a ton from him this summer too. Just, you know, you can kind of feed off each other with your different routines and plug and place different things. But yeah, I go to the gym because again, the gym was on the apartment complex, but it was like a far walk. So having that discipline to walk, even when it's raining, you know, just constant routine is really good. Doing the same thing. Get back, eat. I DoorDash every day in the summer. It was like a breakfast sandwich. It wasn't too unhealthy.
Where'd you DoorDash from?
Bagel Express. Yeah, Bagel Express.
Okay.
So just breakfast sandwich, you know, something light. Some fruit every now and then, you know. And then from there, eat and then get dressed. We'd read the scrolls every day. So Augmentino. Every single morning in our apartment, we'd read the scrolls together, or, you know, in the car on the way to the meeting.
Do you have a favorite scroll?
I will live this day as if it is my last, probably, because that's the one I live or die by. Yeah, every single day. And then from there, get dressed. I visualize again. So I talked about this before, but I visualize my knocking path. Got that from Ethan Bodker. That helps a ton with your, you know, anxiety on the doors, because essentially if you visualize your knocking path, go out to knock your first door, you already know where you're going. And it's so easy. Like, okay, all I have to do is walk this path, knock these doors, whatever happens, happens. And that is my mindset every single day.
Okay, so from the gym, getting ready, getting your food, the scrolls are after?
Scrolls are after, or so I'd visualize first by myself. You know, I'd take 5 to 10 minutes, just literally lock in with my knocking path, and then scrolls, then we leave.
Okay. Yep. So you get to the meeting, and one of the things I really want to touch on is there's a lot of fascination with the culture that you guys had in Philadelphia this year. What was it like going to the meeting every morning? What was the atmosphere?
Yeah, I literally got chills just right now thinking of it. It's cutthroat, you know. We're not here to play games. We're here to take over. And you got that. The minute you walked in the meeting, you got that mentality. Guys would be, you know, role playing, but whatever we're doing, you can just feel it. You know, you can feel, okay, I'm surrounded by cleaners, you know. And
that's palpable.
Yeah. And I think that's really hard to kind of create. So shout out Brent for creating that culture.
Yeah.
But, you know, the minute it turned 8:30, we're, you know, clapping it up and doing numbers. But yeah, everyone's in their seat, locked in and focused.
That was, I experienced that when I flew out there to visit you guys. Experienced that. It was phenomenal. As far as, okay, so from the meeting, the competitive nature it was unparalleled when I was there. What you're talking about, the energy in the room. Before we get to what your pattern was like after that, tell me about what was one of the competitions that you know lives in your mind still from the year, like whether it was a Throwdown Thursday or what were those competitions that we should talk about?
That's another good thing to mention, because this group of guys and girls was the most competitive group I've ever been a part of. Mm-hmm. I've been a part of a lot of sports teams, a lot of different sales teams. These guys love to compete and hate losing, and I freaking love that. So yeah, one competition sticks out to me specifically, and that's Tyler Santana. It was a Throwdown Thursday, and he called me out, and I said, you know, when I beat you, I'm gonna, you know, you're gonna have to buy a carton of eggs, a gallon of milk, and, you know, a bag of flour, and I'm gonna turn you into a cake.
Wait, okay, so first, describe the moment getting called out by your rookie, right? Like, how'd that go down?
I know you know how that goes. Yeah. So it just flips a switch. Like, you don't hear anything after that. Mm-hmm. From the minute you get called out by your rookie, dark side activated.
Yep.
So I took him out that day too, and I dropped him off first. And, you know, obviously when you drop all the boys off, hey, go kill it, man, go kill it. I was just locked in. Like, I don't even remember dropping anybody off. So I get to Hood, and yeah, I mean, I ended up beating him. I think I had like 7 that day. He had like 4 or 5, so it was respectable.
Sure. It's ballsy too, so shout out to him for. I mean, it's ballsy to call you out.
Yeah, so that was fun, and then I got to turn him into a cake. Maybe we can put a picture up on there on the screen.
12 eggs.
Yeah, 12 eggs right to the head, flour, milk, and then I saved a little bit of the flour because you want to stick. You know.
That's right, and these are individuals that
are
agreeing to do this.
He agreed to the punishment.
Yes, yep. They didn't have to.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Love that. So let's jump back into the routines from the summer. Okay. So after the morning meeting, first of all, is there anything that stuck out to you, particularly outside of the hyper competitive nature, people being locked in, really truly locked in, looking to like, hey, what can I ingest here? What can I add here? And then go out and deliver on that. Anything else that comes to mind about those meetings?
Just the camaraderie. Everybody got along. There were no oddballs. Everyone was involved, mm-hmm. which is, I think it's kind of tough sometimes, because I feel like you're always going to have those you know, those kids who are lone wolves, who are a little bit shy, but with everyone being bought in, it makes it so much more fun. Yeah. And then after the meeting, right from there, everyone hopped in the minivan. So I took 5 guys out consistently.
Who are those guys?
Ben Bania was always with me, Joe Turner, Zion, Sanjay, and HD.
Okay. And then, so you jumped in the mini. Did you guys make a stop on the way to Hood? You guys
No, never any stops.
I don't know why I would ask that.
Yeah. So straight to Hood, and then, you know, dropping that many guys off, it takes, depending on how close you are, it takes anywhere from like, you know, whatever the drive time is, and then I'm talking about like the added time going to the 5 different stops, probably like 20 to 30 minutes sometimes. And then, you know, I would knock my first door like 10:45, 11 a.m. So we're still getting to the area a pretty good time.
Okay. And what did that minivan, the people you were consistently taking out, what they end up producing over the summer in revenue?
2.1 million.
They called you guys, other people called you guys the minivan mafia.
Mafia.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Yeah.
Now the minivan makes more sense for the listeners, right? Why you still got that in the garage. Okay, so dropped them off. What was your day like? So you start knocking 10:30 to 11 o'clock. I know everybody has their own routines and patterns, how they knock. What did yours consist of?
Yeah, so get to area, start knocking, just signs of life. I'm a big believer in signs of life, so, only garage doors open, whatever, until like 3:30. And from 11 to 3 or 3:30, I'm just expecting phone calls and texts and everything, because you're going to get that. It's something you have to come to terms with, deal with it, continue to produce. Deal with it, continue to produce. That's just a constant thing you have to deal with over the summer.
So in one of those situations, one of those examples where something significant popped up, right? What was something that you would do? Was there anything consistently you would go to in your mind to just get you back in flow state on the doors?
Yeah. Kind of using that for your production. Because let's say a guy has to get moved for some reason. You go out, you have to, let's say he needs like a ride, because if it's prime time, I make people Uber, but
sure.
11 to 3:30, I'd go pick him up. I drop him off, and then like knowing that he saw me take time out of my day to go do that for him, I need to do even more and produce for him, because now I know his eyes are on me because I had time off the doors. So he's thinking the whole time, okay, how is he going to respond to this? And that just pushes you so much harder, and like majority of my big days, it would be where I have to move a couple guys and go back in the area. So just really leaning on your guys, having your guys as your why, onto why you're producing, why you're working hard. That helps out a lot when you have to deal with, whatever it may be.
Devil's advocate here, right? Hey man, I just need to produce. Okay. Like I need to produce. I need to be left alone. Like they can like don't bother me. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to knock doors. All right. What do you say to that perspective?
Quit being selfish. Like having a team underneath you, like this is like, it's a lot of pressure on you. Like you are, like these guys put their lives in your hands. Like they really did. Like some of these guys, man, this is all they got. Like this is literally all they have, And just to be that person who is like, well, whatever, like you said, I just need to focus on myself and produce. And I think it's so funny because when I first had a big team come out, I loved it because it pushed me so much harder, because your first summer as a rookie, we preach on having a solid why, having a solid why to push you when the days get tough. Having a team underneath you, that's your why, man. Like that is your why. I love having a team because I'm never tired. Like I never feel fatigue because these guys are looking up to me, and knowing that in the back of my head, I can't not work. I can't not produce.
Yep.
And that's something I feel very, very strong about. Like if you have a massive team underneath you and you're just using that as an excuse, like that is just extremely selfish.
I believe what I just heard you describe is leadership. The flip side of that coin I want to also address. So there's the perspective that does not serve a leader, I believe, where, I just threw that out there, right? Where it's like, hey, it's just about me. The alternative perspective is somebody that allows themselves to neglect their personal production, right? Because they, I believe these people are coming from the right place as far as their intentions go. I think that they're, they have goodwill.
Yeah.
But they can find themselves so far away from where they want to be with their personal goals, right? And so that's the flip side of the coin. What do you think about that perspective? How do you address that mentality if you've ever come across it?
Independence equals growth. The whole mission statement is we believe in propelling you to the next level of your lives. And, you want that out of your guys. You want to propel them to the next level. When you're constantly coddling them, showing up on, pulling up on them when they're knocking, like you are inhibiting growth. Like you really are. You need to let them go, do their own thing. because that's also, it also trickles down because they see that. So when they have a team underneath them, they're going to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're not growing, you're dying. That's really all it is. So, and as a leader, sometimes it is tough because you want to be there for your guys so much and you want to show up every single time.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, let them go do their own thing. Let them figure it out. And that's going to create problem solvers. And there's nothing better than problem solvers.
The trick is to thread the needle, right, of those two things.
Yeah, it's a happy medium, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be so selfish where you don't, you're focused on your personal goals, your personal revenue, that you completely disregard them. But you don't want to be with them every single day, every single hour, coddling them. So one thing I would do is I would kind of split it up from 11 to 3:30. If they really need me to pick them up, I would. If they hit me up where they're like, oh, I have cops on me, I need a new hood, like, no, like, go a couple streets over, figure it out yourself. So it's kind of like, if they hit me up twice, I'd go deal with it. But from 3:30 to dark, phone's off, figure it out yourself. And that's where you can kind of see that growth.
Hey, what was your per rep average for rookies, just as far as, how did this work?
I think it was 180.
180 for rookies?
Yeah, 180K.
Winning formula. Might be.
Yeah.
All right, so want to jump into a couple of questions that I have here. All right, so what time did you knock until each day?
Yeah, in New Jersey, it does get dark a lot earlier during the summer. So I would say 8:30 to 8:45 consistently. Just because any later than that, you're going to run into issues knocking dark out.
Yeah. And then later in the day, did you say it's 8:20? Did you look for signs of life, or were you just purely knocking the next door?
Yeah, signs of life and callbacks. But I would like when it was really dark, I'd still walk around just looking for like garages open, people sitting outside.
What was your favorite way to set up a callback?
So yeah, they just say it's really bad time, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like they're actually really busy. Okay, what's the latest absolute time I can come back around? And they would tell me that. Let's say they say 7. I'm like, okay, let's do closer to 8, because I'm gonna be busy at 7, something like that,
Okay.
And they're like, okay.
Hey, no,
and then I tell them, if you hear a knock on the door when it's dark out, don't panic. It's me.
Okay. Noted for everybody listening there.
Yeah.
All right. The other question that I have for you, that once again, a lot of interest here, to recapture the situation here. Philadelphia did 15.4 million, set a new industry record this year. And Shield was also something that Philadelphia won, which is very interesting given the amount of people on that team and the challenges that come in place of everybody getting on the same page towards one cause when you get that many individual parts. So what was Shield like this year? Was the atmosphere like leading up to the championship?
Yeah, we knew we were winning it the whole time. There was no doubt whatsoever. And I feel like instilling that belief from the start is extremely important. Because, flashback really quick to my first summer, that's how it was.
Mm-hmm. Brent
talked to me, okay, when we win Shield, we're going here. When we win Shield, we do this. And, we talked right after Pro Bowl of 2022, and we're like, we need to do that again. So I think that helped out a lot, instilling that belief early. Guys came in, they were pumped about it, and we'd constantly bring it up. In the morning meeting, every single morning, I would say, repeat after me. We are Shield champs. We are Shield champs every single morning. But again, it all falls back on the culture. You can say you're Shield champs, but you don't rise to the level of your talent or your affirmations. You fall to the level of your systems, and our systems were put in place perfectly with our morning meetings, our rules, our commitments. Every single guy was knocking late. Even I'm talking about during the summer, not even Shield, and just having that early, because we were knocking Shield hours throughout the whole summer.
Mm-hmm.
So Shield rolled around, and we're like, okay, this is nothing new. We just have to lock in even more, you know. Because if you're working, let's say, you know, you're working hard Monday through Friday and Saturday, you know, like a lot of offices did, they got off at 4 or 5, even earlier sometimes. Mm-hmm. When you come to Shield week and the expectation is to knock later on Saturday, your body's not used to that. Your mind isn't used to that. And that was at a huge advantage for us because that was our anchor. We were anchored at that. Like, okay, this is nothing new. These guys can't hang. And that's why you saw Saturday, we pulled away. I mean, it was like Friday and Saturday, but it was done before that.
Yeah. Hey, the feeling though, the momentum, the actual, you know, taking to the soul of the other team. That I feel like Friday was where they started.
It just creates that confidence, you know, and the confidence that, you know, we can't be touched. And I have to go back during the summer because we actually lost one matchup against the other New Jersey office.
I was literally shocked.
Yeah. Kudos to those guys. Yeah. But we say all the time, I've already mentioned it, you don't lose, you learn. And I think that was the best thing to happen to us because it was just a tiny little thing. It was a quality metric by like $1. We need to get that up, and we would have beat them. Mm-hmm. So
a lot of people, Jack, talk about it, man. Like a lot of people talk about winning Shield. I understand what you're talking about with the cultures that you've been a part of, that the belief was there on a unified level. But I mean, what's the differentiating factor? Every team started saying this, that they're Shield champs, and you know, because this is something that we've talked about before, right? That instill that belief. What's the difference between a team that just, you know, they could talk to their rookies and say, we're going to win Shield too, man. Like, why did you guys live and breathe it? Like, why did we see what we saw versus the 10 other teams that also told their guys, hey, we're going to win Shield, you know, this year?
Obsession. I mean, you think of like Kobe Bryant. It's like, okay, why did he win that many championships? Dude was obsessed. Dude would train like crazy. We trained like crazy. We had our routines crazy. Every single hour during the summer, it was to win Shield. And, you know, you say that and other offices are going to be like, well, yeah, we took every single hour seriously too. No, you're on the lake Saturdays. You were going back home for whatever, maybe grad parties. You didn't sacrifice what we sacrificed. I think that's another point of it. We sacrifice so much more than any other team. And if you really want to win Shield, you have to sacrifice everything for it, and you have to be obsessed winning it. That comes down to so many little things: routine, hours worked, no lunches, you know, taking the morning meeting serious. So yeah, obsession and sacrifice.
And then, hey, something else to touch on here. You just mentioned it, Saturdays. That's something that in the industry, the bar was raised this year in Philadelphia. So I mean, was that something that took place where guys figured out during the year that you guys were knocking Saturdays? Did you guys set that expectation during the interview process? Like, what we witnessed it. What took place to have you guys knock until dark every Saturday or past dark?
I mean, give credit to the managers because that's where it started at, you know. And I mean, truly, Brent started that. Brent started that my first summer.
Yep.
I saw him knocking Saturdays late, and you know, it made me do it. And then we go to Philadelphia. All the managers are doing it. The rookies aren't just be like, okay, let's go home. Again, competitiveness. They're competing. Oh, you're not knocking later than I am. Yeah, I am. No, you're not. Let's see who stays out later, right? So really just seeing all the managers do it and produce at a high level on Saturdays. I mean, we had some of our biggest days on Saturdays. It was insane.
Saw
it was
that.
Crazy.
Was it the 4th? Was it the 4th? What day am I thinking about? Memorial Day?
Memorial Day was I think our second biggest day. Was the 4th on a Saturday this year? I think it was. Was it?
Tuesday. Yeah, appreciate you, Berto. The 4th of July was on a Tuesday.
But I mean, yeah, it's like when you think about it, you're in a different state on a Saturday night. It's like Saturday evening. What else are you gonna do? You know, we put that mentality into place early. We did bring it up at like the first Saturday. And I think I think Brent was talking. He like laid out numbers from Saturdays of the last year. He's like, look, I made like 20K more just knocking those extra whatever 3 hours and maybe on Saturdays. And that flipped the switch. Like, okay, yeah, why wouldn't we do that? You know. So
hey, Brent's a cleaner.
Yeah,
man, you guys got some beasts. You got some beasts around you out there.
Amazing leader, awesome guy to work with.
Yep. Hey, what happened with the chair?
Oh man, yeah. The Philly office is down a couple chairs. It was funny. So before Shield Championship week, we went to that's when we went to the Phillies game. Yeah. And then we came back to our office in New Jersey, and the whole office was there. So I think it was like 80 guys. And, me and Nate, we put together a presentation, and me and Brent. And, I'm not the huge rah-rah type of guy. Like, I do numbers, I get guys hyped, but to get them locked in, I don't think there's a guy better for that than Brent. He is amazing at getting guys in peak state to listen.
Yeah, he is.
Amazing. One thing I need to work on. So I was about to present in front of 70, 80 dudes, and I was trying to, really make this super important. It's very important. Shield Championship week, blah, blah, blah. And I whispered to him, I'm like, come here, man. I'm like, I need you to throw another chair. I'm like, I need you to get these guys locked in. So he takes a chair, throws it across the room. Listen up right now, and it went really well. And guys listened, obviously.
Hey man, that's watched him over the last year or so really to come into his stage presence.
Yes.
And hey, Brent, he also got bigger. He started working out.
That helps a lot too.
That helped too, man. So, all right. So I want to jump into a few questions that I have for you, and the first one. So I just want to go through your first, second, and third year. If there's a primary lesson that you feel like you got from each one, so your rookie, your sophomore, junior, what's the primary takeaway that you had that you carried with you to the next year?
Yeah. First summer, probably abundance mindset, abundance mentality. I really learned that for the first time. I would even say taking risks too. So because rookie year changed the most. You literally come in as a different, you come in and then leave as a different person. So I would say I learned about abundance. I learned to take risks. Second year, I would say sacrifice. I really learned to sacrifice a lot more than I did my first summer. And to be successful, you have to sacrifice a lot. And towards the end, I would even say this is probably the third summer one. Belief, definitely believing, you can do whatever you put your mind to. No, that was the third summer 3. Yeah. And belief. I had something else to my tongue.
Where'd that belief come from? The understanding of belief and the submersion into it.
It actually came from the end of my second summer. That's what I was saying. Because at the end of my second summer, my August, I sold 170K, and I really believed I could, do 600K the next year. And I talked to Gaines at the start of this last summer. I texted him in April. And I'm like, look, man, I've been talking to Avery and Oren, a bunch of other guys. I'm like, what does it take to move yourself from that 300K, 400K mark to that 500, 600K mark? And he said belief. He's like, one word, belief. Believing you can do it. Because at the end of the day, that's really all it is. And it sounds kind of corny, oh, you can do whatever you put your mind to. But that is so true, and I think it's hard with door to door just because of the rejection you're facing. Especially on those days where I was getting my teeth kicked in when I wouldn't have a sale by 2, 3, 4 p.m. Greeting the day with love and just really giving back. An example, I was getting my teeth kicked in and I knocked this door. She shuts me down or whatever. Or she said She said, yeah, this is my business. Like, it's not my home. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? This is like a residential place. And she's like, oh, it's like a home for a charity, like she does a homeless charity.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, like let me donate. I try to do that as much as possible on the doors because I'm the biggest believer in a good karma. Like everything I give, it comes back around. So I donated I think it was like $20 or something. It wasn't anything crazy. Just because I was like, okay, like take away from the doors really quick, just be a person. Like even though you have 0 sales, it's not a big deal. And then after that, I went like back to back to back. I really switched up this year that I think a lot of reps don't do, which they should start doing. When you have that homeowner, that interaction, and it's like deeper in the sale, it's like, 10, 15 minutes, and they're on the fence. They're 50-50. And you're trying to close, and the deal ends up falling through. Happens to everyone, where you spend a good amount of time and they're just a no, they don't buy. 99.9% of sales reps would interact negatively, whether it's, okay, man, take it easy, or just storming off, or just, not saying anything bad to them, but having bad body language, negative energy. In those scenarios this year, I really tried to just express like overwhelming love. I really can't do it, man. Hey, no worries, man. No worries. It was really nice meeting you, though. Like, take care. Have a good rest of your day. I didn't catch your name, blah, blah, blah. And more often times than not, after I had those interactions, within the next 5 doors, there'd be a deal waiting for me. And I feel like that's so important because a lot of times those interactions, they make or break the rest of the day for that sales rep. If that one falls through, they're just going to look at the rest of their day negative. Like, I don't want to spend time with anybody now, right? I mean, that might be an overreaction, but that's so important to greet every interaction with love. And that is the single hardest thing to do in door-to-door. I mean, Gain says it all the time. What's the hardest part about this job is hitting every door with the same enthusiasm as the first door, right? And that goes hand in hand with it, hitting every door with the same amount of love. So I challenge all the reps out there this next summer, try that. Try hitting every door with overwhelming love, whether it's a door slam, it's a deal, a price sheet, or just an interaction where it takes 20, 30 minutes and it's a no.
What about the times that it pops up on sales route there that you just had multiple cancels, from the day before? How did you perceive, that situation?
Yeah. Definition of this job is control what you can control. And that's something I live or die by. And you can go so much deeper with that abundance mentality. Okay, 3 just canceled. Okay, there's 6 more deals out there. I just have to work harder. So cancels don't really affect me. Honestly, cancels kind of affect me positively because I'm like, okay, I'm a pretty good salesman because they didn't want it, right? And I just closed them.
No, that's the truth. That's the truth.
And that's what a lot of rookies don't understand. They're like, oh, dude, it's like it'd be like their first day and they have a cancel, which is awful for them because it's their first day.
Sure.
But it's like, look, man, that's actually, it shows you're doing really well because you signed somebody up, that kind of backed out. It means you're a good closer.
Do you have a rival of any kind, like throughout the year that you keep close to you?
Like another sales rep in the company?
Whatever that means to you. Is there somebody that you let yourself compete against when you need that edge?
Yeah. This last summer, it was just, it kind of sounds cheesy, but it was my future self. Like every single day, I compete against myself. The version of myself that I see myself as, I go out and chase it. Because I put my future self, my mom says a lot of times I'm too hard on myself, but I have really, really high levels of expectation for myself. And I almost feel like saying putting myself on a pedestal sounds wrong, but like I'm going to chase him, that version of Jack that is the best version of himself. That's my rival. So do everything you can to get there,
What are your thoughts on social media and like the way it impacts you? What are your thoughts on social media?
I mean, there's two sides of the coin, right? It can be used positively, but I would say majority of it is negative in today's society. With the the scrolling, they just they trap you in. And Brent actually did a really good presentation on this.
I remember that.
Where, you know, when you're scrolling, every time you scroll, it's a hit of dopamine, and it's that instant gratification that causes you, like, it's scientific, it causes you to feel depressed later. Mm-hmm. And when you think about it, you know, everyone's been there scrolling for 5 hours, and then you put your phone down, you feel awful. There is no sense of reward from that. When in reverse, doing other habits, like cold shower. I mean, I know you're the big cold plunge guy, but I've done cold showers 2.5 years now. I literally haven't, like, Monday through Saturday, I've done cold showers.
Wait, but it's cold, man.
They're talking about, like, different things with dopamine. Like, cold showers, the dopamine is, like, it lasts 2.5 times longer than, like, your average, whatever it may compare it to. I think it's like social media or whatever.
Bro, it's insane.
Yeah, that's nuts. So going back to social media, it's a trap. Like, it really is. So what I do is I set screen time limits. I allow myself, I think it's an hour and a half per day between Instagram and Snapchat. And I've never been like a big social media guy. Like, everyone, like, in my generation, they watched YouTube growing up. I was never a big YouTube guy. Like, I really never was, because I don't know. It seemed pointless to me.
What about, hey, one thing, so I want to push back on that pretty hard, because, not because of, like, YouTubers are getting into that, but for people that want to understand how to work out, there's a cheat code. You go to YouTube. I got chest and triceps. I don't know what to do. Chest and tricep workout. That's how I learned. Like, that's how I learned so many different things. But I never watched YouTubers, because that seemed like such a ridiculous waste of time. But
it's a good way to put it.
But yeah, like, but I'm part of when YouTube came out, I was like, are you kidding me? I don't have to go find somebody that knows this information. I can literally just look up a specialist to tell me that. But outside of that, I agree with you. Outside of that perspective, 100%.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why they created TikTok and Instagram Reels, because it's a 15-second commitment instead of watching a 30 minute long video. Mm-hmm. It's swipe, 15-second video, swipe, 10-second. Like, it's really appealing, and they do it scientifically, like, to get, you know, it's for their app. But a lot of people don't realize, like, dude, you're trapped. Like, mm-hmm. I challenge people out there to delete social media, because, I mean, that's what I did all summer. And you feel so much better as a person, mentally. Like, dude, if I'm on Instagram all day, I just feel like I feel worthless. Like, what is my purpose?
Yeah. You know? And it's such a, they say also, it's such a mild dopamine hit. It's not even significant. It's just that you get used to it, right? I have a question for you. Okay, so if you need to know the answer to something you don't know, what do you do? How much creatine should you be taking if you're going to take creatine?
I go to my network first.
Network first? What do you consider? So you ask a random person about that. So, hey, you need, you want to know about creatine, how much you should be taking.
I find someone who works out a lot, who is into fitness, and I ask them about it.
Okay.
Because you have to, with everything, you have to consider the source. And that's the other thing about social media, is a lot of these sources are unreliable.
Yep.
You hear so many reels and TikTok videos, and it's these guys saying the most ridiculous thing, but people are going to believe it because it has 500,000 views. You know, that doesn't mean anything. Like, what's the credibility? That's why my favorite thing about EcoShield is the network. I did a training on this last year. I was like, before EcoShield, there were 0 millionaires in my phone, in mm-hmm. my phone contacts. And now there's probably like 50.
It's a good amount. That's a really important thing, right? Consider the source. So if you want to know creatine, you might find somebody that looks healthy, that's been working out for a long time, that you know that about them. So they got sustained health and strength. You would qualify them, and then you'd ask that person first. Say you don't have somebody directly that you could ask that question to. What would you do next? Like, I don't know anybody that has mastered this.
I'd go to Google, honestly, before social media. Google before social media.
How do you qualify whether something's a reliable source in Google? I don't know where I'm going to get here.
Yeah, I just it's a good question. I mean, I did well in school. I mean, I was in college a year, so I know how to differentiate the sources. But it's funny because you asked, okay, if you can't find a credible source in your network, where do you go? I don't think I've ever like not found a credible source in my network. Like, thinking about it now, it's like any question I have about anything, like, I can find it through my network. And that's why they say your network is your net worth. Mm-hmm. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And that is so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, we're lucky.
Extremely lucky.
So basically, you can find answers to the questions that you have in an information world that we have. Expand your network, find people that are qualified in disciplines that you want to become proficient at.
Touching off that, I think of two people when we're talking about this, Jesse Itzler and Ryan Serhant. It's funny because I just read, I mentioned Jesse Itzler's book already. And I just read Salt Lake Serhant for the third time, and mm-hmm. they both talk about this, how it's like Jesse would just try to create so many friends, like anywhere he goes. Like he wrote random people, like, can you be my friend? Like, emailed random strangers, like, I want you to be my friend. But that expands his network. It's funny because Jesse Itzler is a huge role model of mine, and I was I don't know if I told you this. I was DMing him the other day on Instagram. I was having a conversation with him the other day.
With Jesse Itzler?
Yeah.
Hey, man.
I was trying to get him to speak public speak at our MDP, but it was crazy. And then Ryan Serhant, same thing. He, we know his stories. His first year of real estate, he made $9,000. That was 10 years ago. Now he's on the brink of being a billionaire. I think he's the most famous real estate agent in New York City. And he was telling, like, he's just explaining the story, like, everywhere he go, he just wants to get to know people. Mm-hmm. Just get their phone number, and that is so powerful, especially when we're so young, because you're surrounded by so many different social groups, whether you're in college or not, wherever you go, to bars, get to know people, get your name out, expand your network.
That is something that I feel like differentiates the successful people that I know from the people that could have been, right? Who the best person is? Well, there's a lot of people that are really good at that we know. But if you want to learn how to do that, man, talk to Dan Clark for a minute. It's absolutely wild to see him go from meeting somebody, shaking their hand, until, within like 5 sentences, he's doing like one of the laughs at like a family reunion or whatever, like in the circle of people, yeah. and they're like best friends. That's something we should always strive to get to that level of communication skills. All right, Jack, I want to get to a couple of questions that were submitted off of social media. Trey Buckley would like to know, what are the best tips for a second year to go from producing 200K to 300K this next year?
Realizing that your summer starts now. Summer doesn't start April 24th or May 1st. It starts right now. So put your habits into place, create your routine, and just build a massive team, because your team's gonna. Like, I credit all my success, my personal success this year, to my team. Like, I tell them all the time, like, I couldn't have done it without you guys, literally.
What's Jack's all-time favorite book?
So my all-time favorite book is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
What's the biggest difference between an average rep and a top 10 rep?
The difference between an average rep and a top 10 rep is obsession. Top 10 reps are obsessed with everything they do. Habits, work ethic, training, building your team, whatever it comes down to. They don't make excuses. Average reps make excuses, justify multiple things, why they didn't do this, why they didn't do that. And then sacrifice. I think average reps don't sacrifice anything really. They just go out there for the summer and they say they work hard, but top 10 reps are willing to sacrifice anything for the summer to hit their goals.
What was the average home value you think you knocked in Pennsylvania?
The average home value that I knocked in Pennsylvania was probably $500K, $450K.
There was the days that I was over there, right? The day that I went over there, hold up. So what was going on? I had somebody, Ethan Livingston was in the car. He was doing some video work, and I saw that you got one sale. I saw like a green star pop up, and I was like, "Oh, let's go." And so we like drove straight to where you were at after I saw that, because I was like, Jack's about to pop off. He just got one. And that, like, I believe you like sold most of that entire street that day, and he recorded several of them. But the thing that stuck out to me was that those homes were about as low income as I see people knocking for EcoShield homes. Do you remember what I'm talking about? That street? Yeah. They were not extravagant. They didn't have nice cars in the driveway. What do you say to the perspective that, hey man, this is like a hood that, you know, they don't have the money for this?
What I say to people who complain about low income hood, high income hood, it's just the hood doesn't matter. I've sold 900 square foot homes. I've sold 9,000 square foot homes. It does not matter. And I think that's another thing that I realized this last summer, being a leader. Like it really, like, you have to preach that to your guys, because it really doesn't. Mm-hmm. Like this year, like I said, my average home value was like $450,000, $500K. I knocked $5 million houses. Our cutoff was like $300K, you know.
In Philadelphia, which is a bit different, because the home value is $300K there is not what $300K here is.
No, a lot different. But there's buyers everywhere in every single hood. Doesn't matter if it's poor, rich, big, small. Doesn't matter if it was knocked, if you're knocking with solar, if you're knocking with a pest control guy. There are 5 buyers in every hood. You have to believe that.
I've heard guys say that in Philadelphia. Like, I know Jack would have sold at least 5 people in this neighborhood. And so that's something that they've heard over and over again, man. It's a point of belief at this point. Another question for you is, what's the best way to keep pushing after a long day of no's?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to keep pushing after a long day of no's is really just to fall back on your why, you know, because the only way you're gonna end the streak of no's is to get a yes. So do whatever you can just to keep working. And I laugh at this question because it's like okay, you know, if you're thinking about, you know, how do I keep going after a long day of no's, you need to have a reality check with yourself. Like, okay, like, it's not that big a deal. Like, everyone has long days of no's. It's the truth. This year, I think there's a day where I had 0 sales at like 5 p.m. and then I ended with like 6 or 7. So, you know, take that as advice, and fall back on your why. Just keep pushing.
What did you do to have 2 top 10 rookies and a high team per rep average preseason and summer?
In order to have top 10 rookies on your team and a high rookie per rep average, there's a lot of things you have to do. Number one, I think, is controlling what you can, because you have to realize that you can do as much as you can for your rookies. If they don't apply everything you give them, it's up to them at the end of the day. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Mm-hmm. Right? So, one, just be extremely blessed that, you know, you got lucky with those individuals. And 2, just set the best example. You know, have the best habits. Don't say anything negative out loud. And that'll all trickle down to them. Create a culture within your team and get them to compete against each other. Every single day, my guys were competing against one another. and that's why 2 of them ended up in the top 10. So again, just to sum it up, control what you can, do everything you can for them, and that kind of trickles into setting the example. Lead by example.
The people want to know, what does Jack Kammer do for fun?
Man, people ask me this all the time. So what I do for fun is I work harder. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that is true though. No, it's funny. So many people ask me, like, what are your hobbies? What do you do for fun? I love playing basketball. I've always loved it since high school. It's tons of fun for me. I love working out, but in reality, I've always wanted to run a business, and I've always wanted to help people out. And EcoShield allows me to do both. So I think, like, what is your hobbies? What do you do for fun? EcoShield is what I do for fun. And it makes me think of a quote, winning is more fun than fun is fun.
What does your morning routine in the summer look like compared to your off-season routine?
So my morning routine in the summer compared to my off-season routine, during the summer is wake up at 6 a.m., cold shower, meditate, write out affirmations, visualize, read, and then journal, and then quick workout, 20, 30 minutes. It's the same exact thing during the off season. I do wake up later. This year it's 7 a.m. I think last off season was 6 a.m. But this year I'm trying to put on more weight, and that requires more sleep. Mm-hmm. So 7 a.m. wake up, and then same exact thing: cold shower, silence, meditate, affirmations, visualize. I read more in the morning now compared to the summer because we don't have much time during the summer. And then I also work out longer. Like, a 20, 30-minute workout during the summer it's pretty much just stretching, push-ups, and pull-ups. Right now it's an hour and a half long doing push-pull legs. That's my split. So, yeah, same exact thing except longer workout and more reading during the off-season.
How do you keep your rookies motivated when complacency kicks in towards the end of the summer?
Yeah, so when complacency kicks in around July, happens every single summer, they're going to look for excuses. And the one excuse they can't have is my manager isn't producing.
All right. What made you want to pursue an uncertainty sales job instead of school for medical school?
Yeah, so before EcoShield, I was going to Oakland University. I majored in biology with a concentration in pre-med. So the whole goal was to be a doctor, to be a surgeon. That's what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I had my sights set on it. And really what it came down to, in college is I wanted to help people out. I wanted to be successful, and I wanted to earn a high level income. Like, that was the goal. I knew I could do it. Little did I know that there were other ways to accomplish that in a shorter amount of time without the debt. So the reason why I took a risk on, a sales job with no guaranteed pay is a couple different reasons. One, because of the mission statement with EcoShield, that's what really attracted me. We believe in propelling you to the next level of your life. I heard that, and it kind of flipped a switch in me. I was like, okay, this is what I want. And I feel like, maybe med school, being a doctor, could have done that for me, but I didn't want to wait 8 to 10 years. And I just wanted to become a better person. And then the other reason was I simply bet on myself. I remember being in college. It was my second semester, my first year, and it was just, I woke up one morning and I looked myself in the mirror. I'm like, do I want to do this for 7 or 8 more years and be in this much debt and be stagnant? Because yes, you're going to earn a high level income as a doctor or surgeon, but you're not going to have much freedom. And that's another thing I was looking for. I want to spend time with my family when I'm older. I want to spend time with my kids. I don't want to work for somebody. I want to work my own hours, and ultimately I want to retire when I'm 35, 40, Now we say retire. I'm never going to be done working because I love working, but I wanted that freedom. And when I weighed out the options, becoming a doctor or a surgeon, it didn't give me that freedom. Surgeons, they're working 50 to 60 hours a week, Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturday, and you retire when you're, 50, 55, maybe earlier, but at the same time, I will bet on myself 100-fold. I don't care what it is. The confidence I have in myself to get the job done and provide for myself and my family, no matter what it is, I know I can do it. Because at the end of the day, it's your ethical duty to be successful for your family. And that's something I realized at a very young age. And no matter, what route I take, I will always bet on myself.
Did that degree of confidence, was that a part of your understanding always, or was there a moment in time where that became part of you?
Yeah, I always thought that way. I always had the confidence that I'm going to do well in life. And even my parents growing up, they planted that seed in me. I knew I was special from a very young age. Looking back at it, I knew I was going to do big things. I remember being in first, second grade, and I was telling my mom I'm going to buy her a beach house, and to have that mentality at that young of age. Again, I was really hard on myself growing up just because, I don't know, man. It's just, I knew I was going to do great things. And I believe that I was put on planet Earth to serve, to help other people, and to provide for my family, like I said, so I've always had that confidence, and EcoShield just really helped me exploit that, and I think that's why I do so well at this job, because I've always looked for this vehicle. Growing up, I thought I was going to be a star basketball player. That didn't work out. So I was like, okay, maybe the med field, and then eventually EcoShield. And again, when I heard the mission statement, it was crazy. In my mind, an explosion happened. I'm like, okay, this is for me. Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice I give to individuals between the age of 17 and 22 is be careful who you take advice from.
Why do you say that?
Because nowadays, everyone's got mentors where they tell them to go do this and go do that. But at the end of the day, it's okay, is that mentor, is that where you want to be in life? For example, let's say you want to own your own business and you're taking advice from an individual who's never owned their own business. Just because someone loves you, it doesn't mean they have the best advice for you.
What's the biggest difference between top producers, average producers, and low producers?
Yeah, what I've noticed about low producers is they just show up. They just show up and they do the work when they're asked to. What I've noticed about average producers is they do the work all the time. What I notice about high producers is they do the work all the time at 110%. So that's the biggest difference.
How does one prepare for a 600K summer?
One prepares for a 600K summer in a lot of different ways. I think number one is habits. Your habits have to be dialed. Every single thing you do on a daily basis has to go towards that goal. So cold showers, morning routine, reading. I think 600K reps, read a lot more than 400, 500K reps. And then going, into the summer, they have a willing to die mindset. They go out there and their work ethic, they're willing to die from exhaustion. They're willing to give everything. They're willing to empty the tank every single day and sacrifice whatever it may be to hit that goal.
What have you noticed is one of the biggest mistakes that people with natural talent are susceptible to that keeps them from being, as successful as they can be?
You hear about successful people, and successful people always feel inadequate. They always do. They think that, whatever they're doing is not enough, no matter what the goal is. That's why you see them continue to grow. And what I've realized is talented people, they don't have that quality because they feel adequate with the talent that they have. So when you're comparing talented people to people who are coming up with an amazing work ethic but no talent, I will bet on the work ethic person 100 times over. Just because, yeah, the talented person, they might start off, whatever it may be, above them because of their talent, but the person with a killer work ethic always catches up.
If you can do both,
that's game over.
Yeah.
Because I think I talked about this last podcast. It was Jimmy Rex. He said three traits successful people have, and this, dude, I heard this. I love this video. It gave me chills.
Yep.
Number 1, they know they're special, right? Number 2, inadequacy. They always feel inadequate.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 3, their ability to focus on one thing. When you have that trio, you can focus on something, you're special, but at the same time, you feel like it's not enough. That's just going to push you so far to the top of the mountain. So what's crazy is, I finished the summer. I come back to Michigan after Labor Day. I think September 4th or whatever, go see my girlfriend, go see my parents. And then I eventually go see the house, and I'm driving, and it's down this like private cul-de-sac, and I take it right, and I'm like, wait a minute, did I knock this my rookie year? Because my first summer I knocked in Detroit. I'm like, no way. So I pull in, and I'm like, oh, I definitely knocked it. It looks crazy familiar, right? So eventually I had one of the other guys come over with the Detroit login, and sure enough, he opened up the map, and there were stars on the street from me. It was August, my first summer.
Wow.
It was Shield Championship week.
Wow, you're knocking your first year, and you're buying a house on that street.
So I sold the neighbor, not right across from me, but went over to the right, and I went over to introduce myself to the neighbors, and I was talking, I'm like, you guys use EcoShield, right? And he's like, yeah, you guys are awesome, blah blah. And I'm like, do you remember that guy who knocked your door? He's like, yeah. I'm like, that was me. And it was crazy. Really, really cool moment, full circle.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was pretty awesome. But it's just nuts, knocking a street my first summer to buying a house on it after my third. Never would have thought, man. It's a crazy moment.
Hard work pays off.
It always does. It always does.
Hey, man. Really pumped to have been able to have you here. Thanks for coming in. What's the game plan for 2024?
Goal is 12.5 million as a team. Personal goal, I've been dabbling with this a little bit. I'm gonna come out and say I'm gonna sell more than I did last summer. So I want 600K. I want a 6 at the beginning of the number. So 600K personal. 3 top 10 rookies on my team. I want 3 guys in Cabo. I want 3 new partners on my squad. 3 new partners. And then the game plan is just being obsessed, man. Continue to be obsessed. Learn more. Get hungrier. Work longer hours. And do the little things right.
I'll see you next year.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.